For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you've really
run out of time, and we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
Happy Friday, everyone. Give yourselves a big hand and a toast. You made it through another week. It's Richard Skipper Celebrates, and today we are celebrating you and the fact that we've gotten through another crazy week in this city and this nation and this country and this world. And it seems like every time you turn on the news, there's something crazier to grab our attention and to throw us into some crazy mishigas. But today, for the next hour, we're going to celebrate each other, and we're going to celebrate happiness, and we're going to celebrate authenticity, because I have three very authentic guests, and maybe a fourth if she gets here in time, guest waiting in the wings. And that's what I'm going to be celebrating today, our authentic selves. These are three people who are basically, well, they are all at the top of their game in terms of the work they are doing. I'm going to check and see who's waiting in. Well, my friend Natasha Lombardi is here. Hello, Natasha. I'm so thrilled that you're here. And since you're the first one here, I'm going to let you decide who our first guest is that we're going to bring on. All you need to do is pick a number, 1, 2, or 3, and that will decide who our first guest is going to be. And we will bring them on. So I picked the word authenticity because I'm seeing a lot of phoniness going on. And we're going to talk about what authentic selves mean. I try to live my authentic self, and every thing that I say and do, what you see is what you get. I don't play the games. And I think that's great that I'm going to bring our first guest on. Because she is, and she's going to know who I'm talking about as soon as she's a darling. She's a true darling because she is a children's book writer, and she's been on the show before. And I'm so thrilled when I reached out to her this morning, and she said, yes, she would be here today. Ruthie Darling, I am so thrilled that you were here. And how are you?
I'm great. I am just thrilled to be coming back to your show.
Well, I'm thrilled that you're here. And you, first of all, the first time that you were on the show was a little over a year ago. And you were just starting to get your books published, children's books, and you haven't stopped.
No, I haven't.
And
I'm not giving up.
Now, I think that I was, if I'm not mistaken, I think I was one of your first interviews. But since then, it's like every time I turn around, you're doing another interview, you're doing television appearances, you're doing book signings, you're doing all these things out in the desert where you live out in Palm Springs. So how does it feel to be in this whirlwind of this next chapter in your life?
You know, I think I told you when I was on your show that I've really reinvented myself, and this is a God-given gift. I have not spent my whole life doing this. And the challenge from God and my angels in the universe is get this word out, spread the positivity and spread the love. And you know what? And I'm just up to the challenge. I not only do I love what I do and I do what I love, I believe in what it is I am doing. And again, a God-given gift. And I say, thank you, God.
Well, you've got these great messages that live through these characters in your book. So using our word of authenticity, what does that word really mean to you? And I mean, do you feel that you've always lived your authentic self?
You know, we live in a very phony world. And I am very gullible. So I believe because I always told the truth that everybody else would tell the truth. And I've come to find out after decades of being here, that doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. And these messages are, you know what? They're for everybody. They're for any age. They're for any place in the world, because you said it. You know what? I mean, I love listening to you because you're so wise, and well, you too. You're very authentic, and I'm the ultimate optimist, but I find it very hard to come by these days.
And it gets harder and harder and harder. So there are a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to start. I like to start with a surprise question that I haven't even looked at. So we're going to start with a surprise question today. So here we go. And the question is, would you rather be slightly late or super early?
I find that it's better to be super early because it's taking the situation. You have respect for what is going on.
Uh-huh.
And to me, it means something.
Now, you're out in the desert. Now, I know what it's like here in New York City. I live in Rockland County. For those who know New York City and the layout of New York City, I am literally 25 minutes north of Manhattan by car. On a good day, I can be in Midtown Manhattan in 25 minutes. If the traffic hits us, that's another story. So getting around in the desert, I know, is a different story. So what do you feel is the usual situation out in Palm Springs? Do you feel that people are usually on time, they're early, or they're late?
You know, that's an interesting question. I really haven't thought about it. You know what? I've found that people who are chronically late are people who want to control the situation. And I learned that long ago, and it really applies because it's manipulation. In my world, it's manipulation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I've got another question for you. And this question is to ask someone to help you with a challenge that you're struggling with. Are there any challenges that you're currently dealing with in terms of your business? It could be a personal challenge that you're dealing with. And if you could just put it out to the universe right now, a challenge that you're dealing with, anyone's listening, either live or later on playback, what is a personal challenge that you're currently dealing with?
Well, I'll tell you, I had an accident. I tripped on carpet at the Indian Wells Hotel, and I landed against the wall. Fortunately for me, I mean, remember those cartoons that you saw, POW, P-O-W? I heard the POW as I hit the wall.
Stars are spinning around in your head.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I am so paranoid now about every step I take. It's like I'm walking, you'd think that in my head, I'm like a 400-year-old person, but I cannot afford to have anything happen because my deal here is, God, my room's not ready upstairs. I got to get these books out.
Well, speaking of which, today is National Give Something Away Day.
Yes, and I have something.
Now, what are you going to give away today?
Wonderful.
So everyone needs to start putting in our giveaway is hashtag authenticity. And since no one has started to do that yet, we're not ready to do a giveaway. We're going to come back. We're going to do a lot of giveaways today. So you have a chance to win several things. So we've got a lot of viewers watching. Start putting those hashtags in, and we'll do that. And while we're waiting for that, you bring on our next guest, either number 1 or number 2. Ruthie?
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, can I just say one thing before I bring on the guest?
You can, sure.
Because people don't know what Wonderful is. It's a book. It's for all ages. It's for all ethnicities. And how it ends is, let's get together and all work as one, because working together helps get the job done. And this planet and the people on it need it. And the guest and thank you for that. And thank you for having me on. I'm just thrilled.
I am too.
And the guest that I pick is one.
Okay, and that is my friend Parker Nolan, who I love, cabaret extraordinaire. And Parker is doing something extraordinary right now. Parker, meet Ruthie Darling. Ruthie.
Meet you, Ruthie.
Hi, Parker.
Hi.
Parker is working on a cabaret festival, if you will, that will take place next March in Washington, D.C. And can I tell them, Parker?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I am going to be kicking it off. So I'm going to be performing live again, everyone. So I'm excited about that. So Parker, I'm going to ask you, first of all, as an artist, as an entertainer, as someone who is on both sides of the footlights, as an artist, as someone who produces, what does authenticity mean for you in this business that you're in?
That's a good question. I think authenticity for me is walking the talk, right? If you say, I will do X on Y date, say, I will do X on Y date, or it just means authenticity and integrity go hand in hand together, right? And you were talking about phoniness a little earlier. Authenticity is getting rid of all that phoniness, and it's about being really connected with the individual or group that you're working with. And just, I loved what you said, Ruthie, about I believe that people were telling the truth the whole time because I told the truth the whole time. I was exactly the same way, right? I was like, yeah, people are always going to tell me the truth, and they don't. But authenticity is just really being honest and having integrity and doing what you say you're going to do.
And when did you, as an artist, I know what that moment is like. It's very different when you are hiding behind a character and being exposed, being Parker Nolan on stage. Not that I have played Parker Nolan on stage, but being Parker Nolan on stage and just being up there exposing who you are to the world. When did you begin to find who Parker Nolan is and being able to share that with an audience?
Oh, well, I also had a really great audience of stuffed animals and a hairbrush microphone when I was a kid, right? Like so many of us. But I started doing cabaret and doing the really bare kind of performing in 2010, I think. So about 10 or 15 years ago. And it was very odd how that happened completely by accident. I think I shared that story with you, or I told a friend of mine, I'd love to do a show. And she's like, great, you're going to do one in October. I'm like, what? I'm a classically trained musician, so I can sing in Carnegie Hall. I can sing in Davies Symphony Hall, 3,000 people out there, not a problem. But you put me 6 feet away from somebody with just enough light so I can see their expression, how they're reacting to the way I'm telling the story or the way that I'm performing vocally. It's a different kind of experience. So to answer your question, when did I start bringing that together? It was probably about 10 years ago, because there's a whole different type of performance style, I think, with that. You kind of have to get, and there's a magic when that happens, right? I mean, because everything in the room is electric and everything is right there and immediate, as opposed to this big gulf in a concert hall.
Well, now, in getting back to the other question that I asked Ruthie, are you either an early person or a late person, or where do you fit in on the spectrum?
Oh, I have a great story for this, and it's absolutely true. I used to be a flight attendant back when I was young and pretty, and flight attendant training was rigorous. I mean, rigorous about being on time. The first day of class, they showed us a sign that said, if you ever see this on the door, we'll see you later. And the sign said, you are late for your departure and have been dismissed for training. Report to Human Resources. And they would close that door at 8 a.m. and hang the door. And not everybody was on time. I was trained to be on time as a result of that. So I am always, always early. Except maybe the first
excuse me for going here with this, but do you think that's changed in the airline industry?
I don't know. There are certain reporting requirement times for safety issues, but with all the crew changes and scheduling paradigms and algorithms that they have, because not a single. It used to be in the old days with my airline, a single crew was with the airplane the entire pairing, but not so much anymore. You have people connecting and flight attendants coming from this base and that base, and pilots coming from different bases. So I think people do the best they can with that.
I mean, and I'm hearing a lot on the news that, interestingly enough, because of COVID, and now we've got monkeypox, and I mean, but we haven't even begun to think about what monkeypox is going to do to this country.
Right.
But with COVID, for 2 years, people were really locked down. And so now this summer, people are traveling in record numbers like they've never traveled before. And the airlines are not set up for it. And so, but unfortunately, what's happening is, and I'd like to get your take on this from your perspective in this business, they are selling more tickets than they are able to accommodate. And that's when everything is getting backed up.
Oh, that's absolutely the case. Back a long time ago, when I was a flight attendant, I went to school to get my MBA in airline management and did all kinds of stuff. I was with revenue management for an airline that's no longer around. And what revenue management did is it set the number of seats that you sold on a flight at a particular price. And this particular carrier would, short story long, they would sell 210% capacity on the flights, with the expectation, they have these statistical modeling things that people wouldn't show up. That wasn't true in every market, right? I mean, some flights were only oversold by 10 or 20, but I was working in the South American block, and these flights were oversold. The 210% of the seats were sold on the flights. Finally, we had our managing director of the hub call us and say, you guys need to come down here and see what this is doing to our people. So yes, they do sell more tickets than there are seats on the airplane, because it's all about revenues and margins, and I won't get into a whole economics thing. But yeah.
Wow.
Now you see why they call me Sheldon.
So I'm going to ask you, whether it be in this profession or wherever it is in your life, is there a particular challenge that you're dealing with in your life that you're just going to put out to the universe that you need help with? You never know who's listening.
That's true. For the most part, I am very blessed that everything is moving along well. There are some challenges and hiccups getting this festival arranged, but it will happen. I am confident it will happen.
It will. And I am going to bring our next guest on, who I absolutely, to me, she's a goddess. And I love her. And when she's there for me, when I need a shoulder, a heart, ears, Reverend Sandra Barrigan, and she has her own show on Monday nights that put me on hold and listen to me on the playback, and go Monday nights to listen to The Edge of Everyday, because you will learn a lot from her show. Sandra, I am thrilled that you're here today. And I'm going to ask you, because you truly are living in an authentic lane. So what does authenticity mean to you?
Well, before I dive into that, thank you so much for that incredible introduction. And I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me on. And hello to Ruthie and Parker, and to the guests listening in. You know, it's always an interesting question. What is authenticity? And I think for me personally, as I always do my internal work, that can shift for me. But what I always come back to is the willingness and the courage to be vulnerable.
Wow. Wow.
You know, to say the things that you're afraid to say, to dig the parts that you're out, to go into the dark corners and to bring those things out and to share them with the world, and to learn that you're not alone in that. That's really what it is for me.
And I want to go back to the question that I asked both of them. You always seem to be there, but are you an early person or a late person?
My German background, I'm absolutely like on time. If I'm 1 minute late, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm late. Yeah, no, I am. Yeah, it's a little bit insane that way. Yeah, very much on time.
Now I'm going to say we have a very special sponsor, and she's watching right now. And I'm going to talk about her but I'm just going to, I'm not going to mention her name, because I was hoping that she would pop in. And you'll know who she is when she pops in. But I just sent you a link to your email address. So once you get that, we'll bring her on, and we'll talk about our very special sponsor today. But is there a special challenge that you're dealing with, Sandra, that you want to put out to the universe?
Well, in a practical way, I need better speakers and better speakers for my brand new salon space in the Catskills. And I want, people to contribute to helping me upgrade some of my equipment. Anyone who knows anything about sound equipment. That being said, I think the challenge that and I talked about this morning with another friend of mine, those of us who feel as though we live in challenging times and we have a lot to say and we feel as though we have a lot to contribute. Ruthie with her book, Parker with his new show and series and festival, and you, Richard, with all that you do. And it's easy to feel overwhelmed. It's easy to feel really overwhelmed with all the things that we need to do. And I just always, in this week, I want to let go of that. And you talked also about letting go this week. I want to let go of that notion that I have to go. And I need to just relax and understand that I'm getting to the things that I need to get to, and I'm staying focused, and everything is being accomplished as it needs to be accomplished, and really having compassion for myself and all that I do with all of that.
Well, God bless you. And I want to talk a little bit about putting it out to the universe, because I put out to the universe. I do look for sponsors, and I will let you all know that I got an incredible sponsor this week, and she has a new CD out. And the CD is called Reimagine. And it happens to be an amazing CD. So I just said, why don't you come on the show today? And there are a couple of things. This week happens to be, on the 10th, which was this past Sunday, was also Jerry Herman's birthday. And tomorrow night, we will be celebrating on this channel Jerry Herman's birthday with a lot of surprise guests, including Ann Kittredge, because one of the tracks on Reimagine is a reimagined version of Before the Parade Passes By, of course, Jerry Herman. So, Ann, thank you for being here. Thank you for being my sponsor for all of the shows this week. And stick around for the closing credits today, too. So we've got a nice surprise for you. Anyway, I'm going to begin by asking you what authenticity means to you, because I will say this, you are truly authentic in terms of how you present a lyric, how you inhabit a song, and how you present a show. Where did you find your authentic self on stage?
I think it's because I'm Irish and Polish. I think both of those, they're very strong people, and they're very centered, and they're very opinionated. And, I'll give you a great example of authentic, because it was 4:56 when Richard wrote, do you want to be a guest on the show that starts at 5? And authentic is that I didn't have time to put makeup on. So this is authentic.
You look great.
I was like, oh my gosh.
So I think you've answered the next question. Are you early or late? You show up on time. You're there.
Thespians do.
Yeah, well, when we were Stan and I went to college together. We've known each other for an extremely long time. And I don't know if this ever happened with you, Stan, but some of our teachers would literally, like an acting class, if you were not in the room by the time class started, you weren't allowed in. You know, I remember once.
yeah.
I remember once one of the rooms that we had most of our acting classes in had a floor level window, and I had to climb into it to get into class once because I knew that if I run around, I wouldn't have gotten in.
Wow. Wow. Well, and Anne, I hope we can give away one of your CDs today. Can we do that?
I would be happy to. Absolutely.
Okay, great. So what we're going to do is we're going to, just for the fun, just as they wind down for the week, I've got questions to ask each of you to give everyone a little sense beyond your art of a little bit about who you are. Hopefully it'll be fun, and hopefully there are no gotcha questions, although there are gotcha questions. Ruthie, I'm going to start with you. And I already know the answer to this question because you and I talked about this morning. And I love what you've done with this character and what's coming up next for you. But what are you currently working on? What can we expect around Thanksgiving for you?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that. Even though we talked about it this morning, I want to share with everybody. I have a new story coming out, TT Turkey, the turkey that got away. TT lives in a pen with his friends at number 10. They start disappearing, and he figures he better get out of here, out of the farm. And he ends up meeting Mr. Rabbit, Miss Mouse, who's hanging laundry outside of her house. The warty old toad from the farm joins in. They end up living in a fine old house down at the end of the road. And this is a worldwide message. And it is, if wishes and dreams can really come true, then peace on earth is our wish for you. And I have to tell you, I should have added to that challenge, not focusing on my accident, but focusing on something positive. These books have been sent to the First Lady in the White House. And because of these worldwide situations, security has been raised. And I'm hoping that they get into her hands sometime this next month. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed.
Ruthie's books are just, these books are so,
oh, that's Moonbeam.
This is Moonbeam, Mrs. Libra and Zoe Zebra, Miranda the Panda, the whole story. And I'll tell you something that all of you can do. You can order these books and you can take them to children's hospitals, which is what I've done. So it's a neat little thing to do because they are great children and they're inspirational. They're great stories. And if you want to do something to put something positive out into the world, that's what you can do. And
great idea.
Ruthie, I love you. So it's a good thing.
Oh, I love you, Richard. Thank you so much. And I'm just looking for that right connection out there. And I know it's coming.
Oh, it's here. It's right here.
Thank you.
It's circling. So Parker, my question for you is, who is the person most similar to you in this business?
Oh gosh. Can I get a lifeline? We're all unique and have unique skills as an artist. So I know who I aspire to be, but I don't know who is most like me. Is that a fair answer?
That's fair. Do you want to tell us who you aspire to be like in this business and why?
I would love to be I would love to be Kurt Elling or Jim Bensley. I mean, both of those guys are just incredible performers. So there you go.
Oh, that's great. Sandra, what makes you happy outside of the work that you do? Because there's so much that you do. You're doing weddings, and you've got the radio program,
and perform and sing, and yes.
When you get away from the spotlight, let's put it that way, what makes you happy?
I do a lot of reading. That makes me very happy. I live in a beautiful spot, and I try to get outside and utilize that every single day. that pull myself away from my work at the computer or my work in the studio, and that makes me happy.
I have
I
to ask
think
you, have you had a chance to experience the full moon this week?
I have not. Isn't
Oh,
that horrible? I've well, I've seen it, but it's not like I was with it and really sat with it and really, spent time with it. So no, I don't
It's
believe
incredible.
that
Gotta do
yeah.
it.
But what I think just, the growing number of relationships that I have in my life right now that are people who are really in my corner and who are genuinely helpful and uplifting is really the thing that's making me the happiest.
great answers. Anne, when in your life did you feel that you were out of control when it came to your career, and what got you through that?
Is now okay? No. I guess I'd have to say, I took time off to raise my kids, and when I was stepping back in, I had no idea how to do it. I was completely lost. Like, all the casting directors were different. My agents were still interested in working with me, but I mean, I hadn't been around for so long, and it's actually the reason why I chose to, stick my toes into cabaret, because I felt it would give me some control. So that's the way I managed it. It was like, wow, I have no idea how to get back to the career I had. So look, I've got control if I do cabaret. And so that's what I did.
Well, I want to ask, I mean, first of all, I commend you that you made the decision that you did, and you did a great job, because I love both your children. But what brought you back? When did you know that it was time to come back?
So I used that time to invest in, I became a child education advocate. I did a lot of, leadership things in the city. And, but I also, if I wasn't performing those number of years, what I was doing was I was directing children. I was doing volunteer shows for the children and revamping ceremonies for the school. As a matter of fact, they're still doing them the way I revamped them, which I'm like, okay, you can change now. But and I did a lot of that. And I remember just before my son was going into middle school, I remember thinking to myself, okay, this was good. Now I want to be on stage. I remember thinking, okay, I've been working with you little kids for a long time and it's been great, but now I want to get back on stage. So, and then it took me still a few more years. I wanted to wait till my son was going into high school. So that's really what it was I was still doing it, but I was doing it from the director and the backstage thing, and it was making me hungry again.
I was in Provincetown, as some of you know, just last, and I saw a lot of shows. And I realized how much I miss being on stage again. So Parker, I can't wait to get, so it just can't wait. And I sang last week for the, at the memorial, was the first time that I have sung anywhere in a while. Anne and I, both sang at our friend Peggy's memorial. So Ruthie, what is an instance of knowing that you are living your authenticity?
Oh, wow. I don't know. You know what? I'm just very real, and I can't be any other way. This is just me every day. What you see is what you get. I'm like a television screen.
Well, that's not always authentic, but
no, I was going to say, and I know it's not, but this, believe me, I'm not scripted. Okay. All you have to do is ask my kids.
Well, and I love that. And I know that about you, Ruthie. So Parker, I'm all about daily acts of kindness. And the other night I had Barbara Minkus on the show. Great interview with her. Have you had a chance today to exercise a daily act of kindness?
Yes, I have. I generally don't. I have. I'll leave
You
it
don't
at
need
that.
to go into details.
I think sometimes just being kind and doing simple things like holding doors for people or returning shopping carts or those little things that people overlook are also acts of kindness that people can do.
I agree.
And so, yes.
Absolutely. Sandra, what's the single most beautiful site that you've ever visited?
Oh,
Besides the plum.
thank you. Besides the plum. Okay, my mind just went naughty. Thank you, Anne.
And this show is over. So
yes. We won't go there. You know what pops into my mind is, and of course this is not the most beautiful, but it was probably the timing in my life, and it was so profound. Was going to cathedrals and sacred spaces in Japan. I lived in Japan for a year, and just that whole living there and being there and traveling around and doing shows there was just extraordinary for me. It was just life changing. So I don't know that may, other than the Grand Canyon,
oh, yeah.
That's pretty vast and extraordinary.
Wow, wonderful. Anne, what do you think? You've created this incredible CD, Reimagined. The plug for that. From your initial idea of what this CD would be until giving birth, and now it's out there for the world to enjoy. I'm going to put the banner up so that people can go, and it's on various links that people can listen to. Did it turn out the way that you imagined that Reimagined that it would come out, or where is it on the spectrum in terms of what your initial idea of what this album would be?
I have to tell you, making this album was just so fundamentally important to me as a performer, and I didn't know it was going to be. But what happened in the process, because I had just gotten to a point where I had arrangements from different music directors that I'd worked with that I loved, and that, you do them at 54 Below, there's 100 people there. You do it 3 times at 54 Below, there's 300 people there. But I thought these arrangements were amazing. And I was like, I've got to get them down. I've just got to get them down. And that was sincerely the extent of my expectation. But I then, I got involved with Paul Rolnick. He opened my world. He was my album producer. And it was the thing that was so wonderful about it was that I thought that the album was very weird. I thought that the choices on the album were very strange, and that they might even not make an album. I was like, I don't even know if this is an album. It's just so strange. And all of my creative team were so supportive of my vision and believed in my vision and fed it. And I can't even tell you how important that is for an artist to finally, have a vision and other people value it, and so those moments when you're making an album, and it happens for everyone, where you've listened to it 1,000 times and you hope you never have to listen to it again. And you just, I've got Paul, my producer, just saying, man, this is really good. And then when we shopped around and found a label, and the label is like, he's very picky, and he's like, this is what I loved about it, and you need to make more records, and blah, 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 blah. It just made it, I hate to say it, but I guess it validated a belief I had in myself. But finally I was getting that, mirroring back to me, which really gave me a lot of joy.
That's wonderful. That's great. And that's called collaboration. That's what it's all about. Ruthie, what other projects would you like to tell us about?
Well, my plan for next year is to come out with an Easter fantasy story, Mr. Mubble, short for trouble. And the message is, 'twas a brand new beginning for dear Mr. Mubble, who then chose to become a lovable bubble because he is somebody that is out to destroy Easter.
Wow.
And I'd like to, after it comes out in book form, as Shrek did originally, I would love for somebody to take the challenge and turn this into a full-length animated movie. So all I can do is send messages out to the universe. And can I add one thing, please?
Of course.
When you asked about a favorite place in the world, my favorite place is the wall, the Western Wall in Israel. It's just magnetic for me. To me, it's the most valuable piece of real estate in the entire world.
Wow.
Thank you for letting me share that.
No, thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Ruthie, can I just interject? I just have to tell you that as a parent, first of all, I know that it's not easy writing children's books. I know that. And I also have to say that, parents these days, I am the norm. I'm not the odd one. We read to our kids till they're into their early teens every single night. And now my kids are 18 and 22. And I have to tell you that now they tell stories about when we would be sitting in their bed and we would be reading to them and stuff. It absolutely, it builds on the family dynamic. It's so important. So I just have to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because Richard knows my motto, and I'll stop talking, but my motto that I would love to share with everybody, with the world, with everybody on this program is empowering children and adults through the wonderful world of children's literature. And it took me from start to completion 9+ years.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
And you did it, Ruthie.
I'm doing it.
You're doing it. I love the fact that you're doing it. I mean, when I first discovered Ruthie, and she had never even been on an interview before, and I brought her on the show, and look at what you've done just in the past year and a half. It's amazing. So kudos, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm so
this has just been wonderful. And what a surprise from out of nowhere today.
Well, I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm thrilled that all of you are here. So Parker, what is the one non-monetary thing that you have the highest hope of obtaining in life?
Serenity. I mean, that's got to be it. I mean, as crazy as the world is, and as crazy as life can be, to have those moments of absolute clarity and calmness, that truly is a priceless and non-monetary gift. And you had asked a question, one of the guests earlier, about how do they know they're in a moment of authenticity. And for me, it's when that serenity just kind of happens, and it's just like being on a flat pond. And that is the thing that is most important for me, non-monetarily.
I wish that for all of us, and everybody watching too, especially
Definitely.
now. And, it's interesting. And thank you for saying this. I have a friend, and she's gone through a very difficult time. And if she's watching, and she knows, I had a conversation with her last week. Her mother passed away about a little over a year ago, and she's dealing with her husband going through an illness and issues with a son and everything piling up on her. And I said, stop whatever you're doing and pick up the phone and call me now.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I said, you need 1 day a week that is your time, away from everything. Go see a movie, go get a massage, do whatever it is that is your time that you need to get away. And we all, especially nowadays, we all need to do this. I didn't realize, this may come as a surprise to a lot of you, I'm a workaholic.
Really? Oh my gosh, really?
And until I went on that vacation 2 weeks ago, I didn't realize how much I needed it. It was just like, I just let go. And it was just an important getaway that I just said, okay. And just going out and being with friends and seeing shows and just letting go. It was just an my friend Natasha says, tell me something I didn't know. But because I'm driven. I am so driven. And it was just so nice just to get away from it all. Sandra, who are your artistic heroes who have had the biggest impact on your work?
Well, probably it would be Billy Wilson, who Anne knows. Billy Wilson was a director and a choreographer. He was very well known in Europe and then came and directed on Broadway and choreographed on Broadway. And he did Bubble and Brown Sugar and an all-black version of Guys and Dolls. And in my senior year of college, he came in as a guest director and did Guys and Dolls. And I went in and I auditioned because I have a very big vocal range. I went in and always considered myself a mezzo and a soprano. I went in and auditioned for Sarah. And Anne doesn't know that probably.
Oh, I did.
And
You told me that.
have I told you? Okay. And he thanked me and sent me back outside and said, and now I want you to go out and look at Adelaide and come back in and sing and read for Adelaide. And so I can't, so he really switched gears for me in my understanding. He really connected me deeply to my comedic side, which was always there, but it was not something I paid a lot of attention to or gave a lot of credence to. And now it is what I lead with. And unfortunately, he was a great mentor to me, but he died of AIDS very young and was, I didn't have a long relationship with him, but it was his vision of me and his belief in me that really changed the course of my performing life.
Wow.
He was an extraordinary human, and his great love, Chip Garnett.
And God bless him that he saw something else in you and that he took the time.
That totally took, well, and of course, he was there to teach, so of course he did. But however, it had an enormous impact on me.
Well, that's wonderful. Anne, what is the biggest culture?
Oh, and I forgot to, interrupt. And Anne played Sarah in that production. Hello. Hello.
And we had that great duet together. And
yes, we did.
So, Anne, what do you think is the biggest culture shock that you have experienced in your lifetime?
I guess the first thing that came into my mind, I don't know if it's the real thing, but it's the first thing that came to my mind, was that I have to admit I was born and raised in a small New England town where everyone was white and they were Catholic, and actually they were also mostly Irish and Polish. And it wasn't until I went to Carnegie Mellon that I was exposed to diversity. Now, it wasn't like I was like, oh my gosh, not at all. It's just that, to be honest with you, I think I felt at home more. I think I finally went, oh, this is what life looks like. This is what life looks like. I've never been able, I love my hometown. I have very strong sentimental feelings for it, but I never in a million years could I live there again. I just couldn't, because I've seen too much. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I felt the same thing when I first moved to New York, because I grew up in the South. And I remember my first Sunday in New York, finding Park Avenue Methodist Church and going for the first time, because believe it or not, even until I left South Carolina in 1979, churches were still segregated. And I had not been in an integrated church until I came to New York.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so when I walked into an integrated church in New York and I saw Chinese and Korean and blacks, and it was a melting pot. And I thought, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And that was the first time I experienced it. So I'm going to change the background here for it. And there's a reason. So look at this. And it's Gummy Worm Day.
Woo!
Edibles? Edibles?
Edibles.
It's gummy worms. And so I want to ask Ruthie, you write children's books. I mean, do you like candy? And if so, what is your favorite go-to candy when you go for candy?
Well, my most favorite, which is horrible for the teeth, is the Halloween acorn candy.
Oh. I meet someone who likes that candy.
I love it. And I know people who think it is the worst thing on this planet. I don't care. I love it.
Good for you.
I feel so sheltered. I don't even know what that is.
I don't think I do too either.
It's a little triangle. It's a little triangle, and it's orange and white and a drop of chocolate. It's like an acorn. Well, not like an acorn, like a triangle.
Like the Indian corns, only with chocolate?
No.
If you drew,
I'll have to do some research.
If you drew a triangle, put the orange on the bottom, put the white in the middle, and then put the chocolate on top. That's what it is.
Okay. And Parker, what about you?
I would have to say my go-to is cherry jelly beans. Cherry flavor is like it for me.
Wow. Me, it's the licorice jelly beans. I love them. Sandra?
Well, we just had s'mores around our brand new fire pit, and we made s'mores with my favorite, Reese's peanut butter cup.
Ah!
Whole new level. Up level your s'mores now.
Are you going to do it again before the summer's over?
I'm what? What?
You got to do it again before the summer's over. I'm inviting
baby,
myself.
come on up. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And Anne?
My kids know this. They always treat me to it because I don't get candy often, but I don't know what they're called. Bullseyes.
Oh.
I don't know what it is about those things, but I can't stop eating them.
Wow.
If I'm around them. But
So I'm going to bring this screen up here, and we're going to do some giveaways. And so Ruthie, what is our first giveaway?
Oh, you mean wonderful?
Wonderful. So so here we're going to do this. We're going to find out who we're going to. Francis Shea, and so write the name down, Ruthie, and I will put you and Francis in touch with each other. And
I will remember Francis Shea. I don't have a pen with me now, but absolutely, my pleasure.
Francis is a friend of mine, so I will definitely put you in touch with each other. Now, Parker, you mentioned that you can give away like a free pass to if they can get to Washington. Tell everyone a little bit about the overall festival. I am going to kick it off. We're going to do a version of Richard Skipper Celebrates. And I think that Lena Katrakis is she closing?
Yep, Lena Katrakis is closing the festival. It's March 18th to the 23rd. We have a mix of local and regional and national performers lined up. Some performers will be doing master classes. And what we're going to be offering is an all-access pass if you can get to Washington, D.C. for all of the events and master classes. So it promises to be a fun week. And we have a wonderful, wonderful place, a new venue here in D.C. to do it. And that's our home. We're very blessed to have found that. So we're excited.
And you'll get a chance to spend some time with us. So,
That's right.
And we're going to do a draw again, and we'll find out who will hopefully win this. And let's see who's going to. Doug McAllister. Doug, you need to plan a trip to Washington and see me live. So I hope that you'll be able to make it. And if not, we'll figure something else out. And Sandra, you have a CD as well.
I do.
Is that your giveaway?
It is.
Okay. So
Edge of Every Day, the
Edge of Every Day.
original solo show that my podcast is based upon.
And it is a great CD. It's in our car, and we listen to it quite often on our road trips.
Oh,
so
lovely.
it's there, and let's see. Doug McAllister,
You are a lucky man, Doug. Two in a row.
And will you sign it for Doug?
Of course I will.
And Anne, we are going to do another giveaway, and let's see who will get Reimagined. And everybody, please tune in tomorrow night at 7:00. We are going to celebrate Jerry Herman, Natasha Lombardi. I will put you in touch with Anne. And I've got a special giveaway, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll just have to see what comes in the mail. Okay, and let's do one more. Francis Shea. And Francis, we still have to do a dinner. So let's we move this. And I'm going to take this off. And I want to, once again, thank you all for being here today. And I thank all of you for being here. And we're each going to get a chance to have our closing remarks. I'm going to start, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, Ruthie. And then you will pick the next person. And then ever who that person is, we'll pick the next person until we're left with no one. And the last person will just say goodbye. And the final credits will roll. Everybody stick around for the closing credits. But anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. Authenticity. We all have the chance to live our authentic selves each and every day with our actions, our words, our deeds, and who and what we're all about. I've seen a lot of negativity going around lately about other artists, about things that are in the news, and a lot of times based on innuendo, based on things that we hear secondhand. It's not always based on fact. And we are contributors to it when we play into it. The other day, a friend sent me something, and I know that if it was sent to me, it was sent to other people as well. And I didn't read past the first couple of lines. And I said, how does this elevate me? How does this elevate you? How does this elevate the person that this is written about? Please take me off this list. I don't want to receive this. And I think about what we see in social media. And again, I sound like a broken record, but it's worth repeating. When you see something on social media, and I can speak for every person here, we're all artists, and we all want to be recognized, and we all want to be acknowledged. If you see, whether it's any of us, or whether it's other artists, like, share, comment. And those three things are very simple things to do. And if it's not going to elevate any of us, simply delete. And on that note, I always say at the end of every show, go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list, and today reach out to the first name that pops up and reach out with a phone call. Not an email message, not a text message, not a private inbox message, a phone call, and let that person know what they mean to you. Because as our dear friend Sean Moniger says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, and you can all say it with me, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. So I'm going to leave the screen, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Ruthie. And if you're going to have any gummy bears tonight, share them with your friends. Okay, Ruthie, it's all yours.
Well, I like what you said, Richard, because I believe, and I do this. I try to make this a point of, when I see something on social media, I try to share what people are doing. And this is like an entertainment mecca out here. And I found that not only are people appreciative, but you know what? It's like a two-way street. It's you do something good for someone, and it's for me, it's payback. And I don't know if I can, if I can state it in any other way. And I've read, I read, what you've written, and these negative comments, and you know what, I just delete them. I just, it's the negativity. There's I want to spread love, and that's what my stories, and that's what I'm about. And I'm going to give the stage over to, well, I'm going to hand it over to Anne, because she was talking to me before about reading children's stories. So, and thank you for that. It was a wonderful, wonderful share that you had.
So, yes. Okay. So, I guess there's two things I'd like to share. First of all, that, and Richard knows this, I don't know if Sandra knows this, but, one of my, I have to admit that I'm not the best person to watch these shows live, but I am a really good person who watches them on my own time. And there are, and the great thing about Richard, he's got a plethora of videos to choose from, which I often, kind of go, which one am I going to listen to this time? And then Sandra, her show is newer, but the topics that she hits upon are so meaningful that if you're looking for, that kind of a fix, like a really authentic, meaningful discussion, and really getting into much more of a spiritual, at the same time, the nuts and bolts of things, you got to check out Sandra's videos. And she also has them as audios. Sometimes I'll have them on in the car. And then as for me, the shameless plug is that I've got my, the album's coming up, and I'm also going to be doing the album essentially live again in October. And then I'm also going to be in the Cabaret Convention just a few days after that. So I would just, please join us. It's a huge, the show that we're doing right now for the album is just a celebration more than anything. And I really have a full band, and I would love to see as many of you there as possible. And thank you so much, and have a great weekend. And I hand it over to Parker.
Well, thank you, Anne. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It was wonderful to meet you all. My parting words would be simply just to be kind, and be kind in as many ways as you can. And my shameless plug would be come to DC March 18th through the 25th for a really wonderful, wonderful week of shows. I hope to see you all there. There's plenty of space, plenty of tickets, and it's going to be a wonderful lineup. Until then, be well, be safe.
Thank you, Richard, for having me on for all of us. Thank you, Anne, for that lovely, lovely plug about the edge of every day. Thank you all for listening in. The Edge of Every Day on talkradio.nyc. I will say here what I say at the end of my show. Remember, you are always on the edge of the miraculous. And for my shameless plug, I have a salon space, and Richard mentioned this briefly, the Plum, on my property. It's my garage that I've turned into this fabulous venue salon space where we can have house concerts and lovely small weddings and gatherings, intimate gatherings of all kinds, because I want to bring back the salon culture, where people celebrate conversation, the art of conversation, and building community, conscious community. And my website for that, you can go to sandrabargeman.com, but you can also go to the Plum at Traver Hollow House, which is theplum, th2.com. And the next event that I have is with two band. Well, one is a band and one is a single performer. It's on Saturday, August 20th from 5 to 7:30. And the first performer is Eric Wood, Eric with a C, wood.com. And the second group is a group called Kumara. And one of the founding members of that is our beloved Sean Harkness of the cabaret community. And I believe, although I don't know this for certain, but I believe it's a new group, and I believe it's the first time that this trio of internationally acclaimed musicians will be performing for the first time, and beginning to step forward and share what they're doing in the world. So go to the Plum th2.com. You can learn more about it, and you can find a link to tickets, or you can friend me on Facebook. I'm all over social media if you want to find information about this event. Thank you again to all of you for listening in. And again, I'll say it again. Remember, you are always on the edge of the miraculous. Good night.